I'm really excited. I love coloring um as a form of relaxation, which as I'm approaching my final month of college, I definitely need. So, I'm starting off with yellow for a very important reason. Yellow is the lightest color in the color wheel. It's the closest to white. Um, and what I like to do is I like to pass over everything that would need some yellow in it. Um, so to explain what I mean, we have our hungry caterpillar here, which I think everyone knows is green and red, and I do have my green and red here set off to the side, but I'm looking at a picture of the hungry caterpillar, and he has what we call yellow undertones. So an undertone is the color underneath the main color that sort of affects the way the main color looks. So the green is not just green, but it's like a yellow green. And same thing with the red of his face. So we're actually just going to color the entire caterpillar in yellow. And I'm so serious. I mean the entire thing. His face, his body, his little feet. Um, I drew this coloring sheet myself, so please excuse any weirdness. I did not draw the mouse because, in all honesty, I was tired. So before class started, I just kind of like outlined him with a pen because he was kind of faded. But every other character and the book I drew. So I just wanted these characters to be like reading a big storybook together. I thought that would be fun. That was kind of the scene I set up. Kind of kind of a meta scenario, right? Like storybook characters reading a book together. I'm literally like recoloring this caterpillar in yellow. He's not going to stay yellow, but he's yellow right now. And the thing I like about yellow too, because it's so light, you don't really have to go too hard on it like you do with other colors, like how hopefully you'll see later on. You can kind of be quick with it, just fill it in back and forth. I do circular motions wherever I can, because that hides like the direction of your pencil marks. As you can see, I hope, like, please observe how I color in circular motions. And if I'm not coloring in circular motions, I'm usually coloring along the contour of the shape that I'm filling in. So I have this like scoop down here. So my pencil is following that scoop. And then I fill up with circles. And I'm just using some non-toxic made with reforested wood Crayola colored pencils. I think these are like $3 or $4. I'm not even sure. But they were provided to me by Nork for demonstration purposes, for class demonstration purposes. And I do really like that. I think that it's very easy to get caught up in like the quote unquote quality of your art supplies, and like the price tag of it and thinking like, oh, I need to have this expensive supply or like kind of colored pencil to like have a good piece colored in, but I hope to show you that that's not true. With enough skill and finesse, you can do whatever. So we're not done with the yellow. I want to go over every character that will have some semblance of yellow in it. So if you've never read Pete the Cat, he has yellow eyes. So we're coloring in his eyes yellow. And I know it kind of looks weird right now, but well, I guess no. Like I think cats in general have like yellow eyes. They're like depicted with yellow eyes. So I think it's fine. Another guy, he's brown, but we're going to give him some yellow undertones, is our brother bear from the Berenstein Bear family. Like I said, I didn't read these books growing up really, but there was an animated show on PBS that I used to watch. Same thing with Clifford. I don't think I ever read a Clifford book in my life, but there was not only like a regular Clifford animated show, but like a spin-off of Clifford when he was a puppy. And like that was one of my favorite shows growing up. So I think out of these, I actually like read The Mouse, Corduroy, and The Hungry Caterpillar. Mo Willems didn't come out with his pigeon books until I was too old of a demographic. My sisters loved him though, so I felt like I needed to include it. So we got Brother Bear there, Corduroy here. And I think honestly, we'll color all of corduroy in yellow, like even the corduroy overalls, because they're green. So we'll go over that with a green later on. So we got two yellow bears, and we're gonna color in this mouse over here. I'm gonna pull up my picture. Hmm. Actually, it's more so the cookie that needs the yellow. The mouse is kind of gray. That's another tip too. Don't be afraid or ashamed of using references when you make art in general, especially if you're doing what this is basically fan art right here. This is like I'm a fan of these storybook characters and I made art of them together. So we're gonna leave the mouse blank for now, but that cookie is definitely yellow. So I love to use photo reference. So I'm gonna pull up my caterpillar again. We're gonna get in here with this red on his face. And as you can see, it's like more orange than anything because red and yellow make orange. I think who's the author of this again? Eric Carl? There's another one, Elhurt, I think. This art style of like the painterly, it was always my favorite as a kid. Like I loved the Eric Carl and Elhurt books. Like those were always my favorite to get at the library when I was a kid. Like if I remember like back when I lived in the Bronx and I would go with my mom to get books and things like that. And oh, you know what I should have added? The Rainbow Fish. That was another one of my favorite books. Like I just liked really pretty looking books. Um, you got these little antenna here. I'm gonna put lighter pressure on the pencil. And then I think I have a darker red, so I'm going to utilize that to my advantage because this is looking slightly too much like orange for me. I have something I'm coloring on top of a cutting board. I got like a nick or something in it that's showing up through my page. I definitely like coloring on like a surface, like a buffer between the paper and the table, because otherwise, like, you'll just imprint the texture of the table. So we're ready to move on to the green. It has big green eyes with a yellow outline. So I'm just gonna fill in most of the eyes with the green and leave a little bit of the yellow and then go back around with my yellow. and really up the intensity, press super hard. And then for the rest of the caterpillar's body, I'm going to go in with my light green, and then again, I'm going to go in on certain spots with my dark green. So I'm doing my circular motion. I mean, this would be really cool to do like in the actual style with like, it looks like tissue almost. I don't know. I should research how Eric Carle like came up with this art style. It's amazing. There's no character in it, but another one of my favorite like books when I was in elementary school was Chicka Chicka Boom Boom because I love coconuts. So I love coconut trees. And I also, I mean, it probably made me love the alphabet, but definitely love like letters and stuff as a kid. So I hope it's clear. I got too much like shine going on here. I hope it's clear that this is so weird. Like, it's really dark for me, but it looks so good on camera. I actually I can't really see this that well now in person, but I'll just look at my camera feedback. But as I was trying to say, I hope you can see like the blending of the yellow and the green together is really nice versus if you were to just go straight up with the green. And I feel like again, because this is the hungry caterpillar, you can kind of be a little messy with them. You don't necessarily have to like color inside the lines like super neatly with this guy. He's a he's an eclectic little fellow. And like weirdly, this is like kind of personal. Not really. Um, I had a dream about like I was on like a class field trip and our assignment was to catch bugs like in a meadow and it was like really cool. It was just a fun dream. And I caught a little spider with the like with a cup. I don't know. It was like the most peaceful dream I've had in a while. I guess I as I get older, I just like I've learned to really like bugs. So we got all the green in. Kind of want to go around the outside with some yellow before we add the dark green. I'm pressing super hard. I hope you can see that I'm holding the pencil really close to the tip. That's like the trick for applying more or less pressure. If you want more pressure, you hold it closer to the tip of the pencil. If you want less pressure, you hold it further away from the tip. So right now I want all the pressure. I want the yellow. I want this yellow to really like show up. Almost like a glow around our caterpillar here. Maybe our caterpillar is looking at our mouse's cookie. He's so hungry. I don't know. What would the mouse do in that scenario? If you give a mouse a cookie in front of the hungry caterpillar, what would happen? I don't know. The other thing is his nose is just black, so just gonna Just gonna fill that in really fast. Um, and I'm going to quickly like fill in the opposite, like alternating segments of his caterpillar body very, very quickly and with a lot of pressure. So we can move on to the next character, which I think will probably be Clifford because he is just a big red dog. So, like, it won't be that difficult. Hungry Caterpillar is finished. Look at him, he's so cute. Now we're on to Clifford. I have 2 reds in my 12 color set, and we're going to use both of them. Clifford is quite literally just a big red dog, which is pretty cool. Um, we can start with our lighter red first. And just very quickly lay down like 1 layer of that, almost like how you paint in layers. Like I learned to use my colored pencils in layers as well. It's something that you learn, or at least that I learned when I got like my hand-me-down set of Prismacolors for the first time. Um, because those are so pigmented, you kind of almost don't need to do it in layers with them. But like the way you can blend colors with them, you gotta like do it in layers. You gotta do it one at a time, you know? But I learned actually like when after I started working at Crestwood and like doing Monday morning coloring with the seniors and then like this class and stuff and like crafternoons that Crayola makes some good quality colored pencils. I actually really like them. I used to think that the only good color pencils were Prismacolors, but I matured and I learned that that's not the case. This is actually so many characters, I just realized. This class, I think more than any other, I implore you to take your time and really get acquainted with the pencils and the paper. Because I'm coloring fast just to make it within the time limit. Another thing I do is when I have to follow the curvature of a character, I just turn my paper to better suit the rotation of my wrist. Because I can't really rotate my table I can't rotate my relationship, my position relative to the table, but I can rotate my paper very easily, so that's what I do pretty much every time. I'm doing a pencil motion that's matching the curve of Clifford's back. And then here in the tinier spots, I'm doing my circular motion to fill in the gaps there around the pigeon. I kind of wish the pigeon had a name. We're gonna go around Pete here, which is a character I did not know existed before I started working at Crestwood. I guess he's newer because I have no recollection of Pete the Cat from my childhood. And I feel like as big as he is now, I would have. All these little gaps here, I'm going to use my circular motions. I want to implore you not to take your time and not to strain yourself. If you're using colored pencils specifically, I know it's very easy to do that from experience. I've been using the X-Acto knife for some school projects a lot this week, so my hand is already like cramped up from all of that. So, but hopefully it'll all be worth it. Clifford's colored in. Isn't that lovely? I want to give him darker eyebrows. And like some shadows under his ear and his chin here. So I'm just going to follow the curve of his chin with my darker red. And we'll do some shadows like around corduroy. And Pete here. And the pigeon as well. Is very, very and it's really easy because these reds are so close to each other, so they blend together like very nicely. It's like it feels like butter. And the more time you put into it, the better it'll look. Because the more pigment you put on the page, the less you'll see of the paper. So another one that got some red going on is Brother Bear from the Berenstein Bear family. He has this red button-up shirt or like collared shirt. So the collar is going to be the lighter red, and the rest of the shirt here is going to be our darker red. Just to delineate like the inside and outside of the shirt. I know for a definite fact that my favorite storybook character as a kid was Junie B. Jones. Who should we move on to now? Let's do corduroy. Because I think we're done with this red, or at least for now. We're gonna bust out the only brown we have, and I think we need some orange too, just in case. But first things first, let's color in these overalls green. So I'm going to color them in light green, and then I'm going to add lines with the dark green to give that corduroy look to them, because that's his namesake, is that he's wearing corduroy overalls. So it'll be really fun. I'll show you, of course, obviously. So we got our light green in, now we have our dark green. And what I'm going to do is just like draw lines going down. And they don't have to be like super perfect or dark or anything like that, because we still want it to look soft because it's corduroy. So if you do them hard, it's like, it's kind of weird. But I'm sure you can see that we already got that beautiful like corduroy effect going on. We're going to fill in his nose. And then I'm going to add some orange to him. Just cause I think the brown alone is not enough. So I'm doing little swirls, little spirals, or like big circles, I guess, with the orange, and then we're gonna go in with our brown. Because our brown, like if we were to press too dark, like if we were to press too hard, it would be too dark. This brown, it's like a really deep brown. Which is good because that means if we apply lighter pressure, we can have a lighter color. It's almost always better to have a darker colored pencil than a lighter one, because you can use the white of the paper to your advantage. Unless you're using like brown paper or something to color on, which I've actually never done before, but I think looks really cool. And I would love to try it one day. That's it, corduroy's done. Look at him, he's so cute. I feel like you can add some like little hairs to him. He's not actually a real bear, he's a toy bear, he's a teddy bear. But yeah, he's all done. Look at that. He's so cute. Um, Pete the cat is right next to him. Pete the cat is a really like dark blue. But first, these eyes, it's like a black iris with a white pupil. which I definitely could have drawn digitally, but oh well. His eyes got some orange to them. I'm going to very lightly apply some orange and then go over them again with yellow, but press really hard to blend it together. And I think his eyes being kind of orange is really cool because Pete the Cat is a dark blue, which I'm going to achieve by doing light blue first. Very light wash of light blue, actually. For our highlights. Because Pete the Cat also has that sort of like painterly aesthetic. I'm sure it was inspired by Eric Carle in some way. It seems reminiscent of Eric Carle to me, the way Pete the Cat is illustrated. Right now, it kind of looks like Blue from Blue's Clues, or I guess this day would be Bluey. I grew up with Blue's Clues, though, which was one of my favorite shows. So we got this light blue. It looks kind of weird, like you're not supposed to see Pete in this state. But I'm going to start by filling in his chin here. And this is really a great opportunity. If you haven't noticed, I like kind of went over the line with some of the red from Clifford there. But because I'm using such a dark color, I can very easily hide it now that I'm going over it. So I always like to do back to front, like with when I'm coloring, when I'm making art, whatever. Like whenever I'm making a scene, you just gotta like layer it, you know? You're gonna fill in those ears. So the reason why I went with a light blue underneath was because first of all, I don't know how much hard pressing of the pencil I have left in my hand, but also because like the lighter you press, the more of the paper underneath you will see. And so when you preface that or like buffer that with a lighter color between the white paper and like the actual color that you want to use, it gives you more freedom to like apply more or less pressure in different areas and things. So that's always it's always a helpful thing that I like to do. Like I definitely applied more pressure on like the perimeter of Pete's face, and I do want to have like his ears be darker. Then in the center of his face here, it's lighter, but because I got the blue underneath, it's not like white. Like it doesn't look unfinished. It looks intentional. Pete is done. Pete has a white nose, like pure white. So next is going to be the pigeon. I think the pigeon is really easy. Um, the pigeon has a yellow beak. We got a yellow beak. I'm gonna fill that in. Yellow beak. And then it's like a very pale turquoise, and this is the closest we have to that is our sky blue. So I'm going to hold my pencil all the way back here. The tip of my pencil is here, and my hand is over here. And I'm placing my wrist on the surface of my table for stability. And I mean, I'm pretty sure you can barely see the blue that I'm laying down here. And that's on purpose because this is a very sky blue pigeon, very light blue pigeon. I think it's supposed to be like kind of gray, but because it's a children's book, it's like more colorful. We're just gonna color that circle around the eye. And we're gonna color in his neck. Huh, look at that. Our pigeon is done. And you can see that it's colored in because the eye is still white. And I'm sure you can see the contrast. We're gonna finish Brother Bear here. We never finished him. I got distracted. So I was right to color him in yellow for sure, but I think that it's a little more orange than yellow, than just yellow rather. So again, light pressure, doing swirl, circular motions all around his face. His face is all the same color, his fur is all the same color. So if you don't know, brown is just orange with black, with a little bit of black mixed into it to make it darker. So brown and orange are essentially the same color, like how pink and red are the same color. I want to see if I'm like happy with this. Maybe we'll add some brown somewhere. I don't know. Not really. Around these fur lines, I guess. And we're gonna mix it all together with a nice top layer, nice hard pressed layer of yellow. Heavy-handed, a lot of pressure to really like set those colors into the paper. Most of these characters, I guess like every character here except for the mouse, I drew off of my memory. Um, and if you look up a picture of Brother Bear from Berenstein Bears, you can tell he's a little off. He's supposed to have like a hair tuft here and he has eyebrows. And I did not give him eyebrows. But if you have a pen, you can just draw some eyebrows on him. So that's almost every character except for our beloved little mouse here. Our mouse here is like the most complicated one. Which is why I left it for last. Because it actually has a lot of pink. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and add a 13th color to my color arsenal. And add pink. This thing more than like yellow is pink, which is fair. Like people either have neutral undertones. I mean, this is a mouse, but I guess it would apply. People either have neutral undertones, yellow undertones. I'm someone that has yellow undertones in my skin. Um, or pink or red undertones. which is something you learn about when you do makeup. This cookie is chocolate chip, which I hope we can agree is like the best kind of cookie ever. And it was actually invented in the United States in the early 20th century, which is pretty cool. This is American cuisine right here, American dessert. I am going to pass like a very light amount of brown around the cookie, and then probably like a light amount of pink too. And then you already know we're going over it with our yellow, but not super hard this time, just like medium pressure. So I'm actually going to color in this whole mouse pink with a very light hand. Literally everything, I'm so serious. Except for his overalls. Like his whole body is gonna be pink, gonna be like a little gummy bear, a gummy mouse. And then like the nose and mouth and ears, I'm going to add a little more intensity to the pink. And like the paw. And again the tail. And then voila, bust my brown out. We're going to fill in our mouse with brown. And there are like some deeper browns like inside of the ears here. So I press down really hard, like in this corner, and then I apply lighter pressure and I do circular motions going out of that corner. And same thing, I think like the top of his nose is like darker, and the top of his head is definitely darker. And like the bottom of his arm here. He's so cute, this little guy. What a cutie. We're gonna add another layer of brown. The body's done. So now all we have to do are these overalls here, which I'm gonna start with a light blue and then cap it off with a dark blue. Again, and it's the same idea with Pete the Cat. Um, but also that these cuffs down here by his legs are a lighter blue. We're gonna fill in these straps. I'm not applying too much pressure because these overalls are not that dark. They're like a nice blue denim. And I'm just going back and forth, up and down. And not only did we give our mouse a cookie, but we gave him some nice fun overalls. The only thing left to color in would be like this cover of the book here at the bottom. But I don't know what color to make it. Let's see, we have red, green, yellow, and blue. But we got so much red with Clifford, and then we have our green here. I'm going with the blue. And then if you want to make the pages look a little older, you can like do a light coloring of yellow on them. I'll try to do that to show you what I mean. But first, more blue. This would probably look better if it was darker, if it had some like black in it. To give more of a contrast. But I'll just press my pencil harder. Right? And so then we can just like have like ever so slightly yellow pages. This is very light. And then I'm gonna add some brown to that. Definitely like underneath here. And wow, guys, we just spent an hour coloring. And you can spend an hour more. Like, so serious. I know me personally, I'm not pleased with how my Clifford is looking. I feel like he's a mess. I got too much paper showing through for my comfort. Like, I'll definitely do another layer of red on him. A strong, bold color like red is definitely more difficult to like have appear nice with colored pencil than something like yellow that can blend so easily in with the white paper. Get some shadow. I definitely need to sharpen this. I just give it like a twist. And I start coloring in from like the darker areas. There's definitely something there. Got like some glue there or something. It's giving me unwanted texture through my paper. I'm just going in on Clifford's face, guys. Pressing down hard and going in my circular motions to cover my paper. Clifford in theory is easy because he's almost like you just paint bucket the color red onto the outline of a dog. But using such a bold color with colored pencil, I hope you can tell, is a little more complicated than that. But I think you can see the difference between like his face and his body now that I've put in more elbow grease. Yeah, I think now my Clifford is looking real cute and solid and bold and red. And now it kind of makes me want to go back to my caterpillar.